Hi, welcome back to another reading from Hot Flash Divas. I'm author Shirley Garrett, and the reason I'm bothering to read this and putting on YouTube is I thought it might help the boredom and isolation because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and I certainly hope it helps. Today, we're reading from chapter 35, Survival of the Smartest. I hadn't dated in 20 years. Now, dancing brought men into my life that wanted to escort me to all these fun events. I needed some survival strategies. I called on the divas. We met for dinner at Vicky's to discuss my dating plan. Once we had our food, I said, "Okay, ladies, tell me how this dating stuff works." I took a bite of the tasty Normandy chicken and nearly swooned. Letitia pointed her fork at me. "Only meet your dates at your office or the location of the date. You don't want the guy to know where you live." "That's good advice," I nodded. Kat and Gina murmured their agreement. I buttered my yeast roll and took a bite. "Me next," said Gina. "Don't park in dark areas and always drive in separate cars. If the date falls apart or it gets weird, you can escape. Oh, and make sure you aren't being followed home afterward." The waitress stopped by the table offering refills on our drinks, which we declined. I already keep an eye out and make sure I'm not being followed because some of my patients are dangerous. I picked up my knife and sliced up a few large bites of chicken. Kat leaned closer so she could be heard over the din of competing conversations. Men aren't allowed access to your home until deemed safe. This requires at least 3 days unless you've known him for a long time. Keep your phone handy in case you need to dial 911. She lowered her voice, forcing me to lean closer to her. Don't invite a man to your house for a date unless you're willing to sleep with him. I stopped chewing. My gaze circled, looking at each of the divas who nodded their agreement. I resumed chewing and swallowed. "So you're saying if I invite a guy to my house for dinner, he expects sex?" I reached for my sweet tea and gulped some. "Yep, and don't forget the 3-date rule," said Letitia as she reached for a roll. A group of women filed past our table. After they passed, I leaned closer and asked, "What's the 3-date rule?" "For some crazy reason, guys think it's a guaranteed booty call on the 3rd date," said Letitia. I sat back in my seat. This dating thing is much more complicated than I thought. Gina twirled her pasta like a pro. "Fee, face it, most men want you to put out on the 1st date. Heck, some want sex if they just met you in a bar." That sent a shiver down my spine. I might consider a dinner date with a guy, but that didn't mean I wanted to see him naked, for Christ's sake. I felt like I was 16. I wonder what happened to 1st, 2nd, and 3rd base. Are there only home runs? "What if I don't want to have sex?" Letitia sat back and eyed me. "Girl, don't you like sex?" I glanced around. Letitia's voice tended to carry, and several people at surrounding tables were now looking at me. I leaned over and hissed, "Yes, I like sex, but I don't want to announce it to the entire restaurant." Letitia looked down her plate. "My bad." "Geez, I'm not sure I'm ready for this yet. I've been with the same guy for the last 20 years. I looked down at my body. I look good for a middle-aged woman, and people often thought I looked 10 years younger than my age. I didn't look 20-something either. Maybe I should work out in a gym for 2 or 3 years before I get naked in front of a strange guy. To tone up a bit. The divas laughed. Gina held her tea glass above her head, and the waitress appeared like magic to refill it. Kat presented another complication. All she said was, "Condoms." "Condoms?" I parroted. "Always carry condoms, both female and male condoms with you, just in case. He refuses to wear one. Kat looked over at me, over the top of her cup. Oh, and make sure they're latex. None of that animal skin crap. What's wrong with animal skin? I asked. She took a sip and placed the dainty cup on the saucer with a clink. Research shows they don't offer a complete barrier like latex. Check. Latex condoms, I said as I reached for my glass. Don't forget to check the expiration date, said Kat. They expire? I said before forking glazed carrots into my mouth. Kat nodded. Latex doesn't last forever. No wonder people stay miserably married until they die. Letitia reached for another roll, especially when the poor thing has been imprisoned in a guy's wallet and sat on for who knows how long. I nodded, remembering when I had to demonstrate how to place a condom on a banana for a classroom of teenagers during a sex education class back in the dark ages. I whispered, I haven't put a condom on a dick since college. Letitia waved her hand. It's like riding a bike. It'll come back to you. Maybe I need to buy a box of condoms and a banana to practice. I enjoyed the rest of my meal and digested all the information I just learned. After taking her last bite, Gina pushed away her plate. My advice, Fee, is to remain single for the rest of your life. Todd had certainly tinted my view of men and matrimony a sooty gray, so I was in agreement with her on that point. Yes, I wanted to go out and have fun, but that was it. For the moment, commitment phobia had saddled me and was riding me hard. I need to put a dating plan into action, I said. Gina raised her water glass to signal for a refill. I have a plan A and a plan B. The waitress nodded and changed direction. How do you do that? I asked. I have to tackle a waitress to get a refill. Gina shrugged and scooted a glass closer to the edge of the table as the waitress approached. Girl, you got 2 plans? Letitia laughed. I can't wait to hear this. She shoved her water glass over closer to the waitress. Plan A. Avoid the commitment monster by dating more than one man. Exclusive dating can lead to matrimony, or at least an attempt to move into your home. Gina paused and pulled her glass back in front of her. After the waitress left, Gina continued. Plan B. Someday find a suitable match and do the adult version of going steady. I knew several couples in the ballroom dance world that didn't cohabitate or desire matrimony, but they provided companionship and support for each other. Letitia gave a woman who passed our table a quick up and down and frowned. I followed her gaze. The woman's receding form revealed hot pink panties peeping over the top of low-slung jeans. Letitia wiped her hands on her cloth napkin. Not me. I'm looking for Mr. Wonderful, who will be a good father to Dante. Letitia, you're different than Gina. You're like me. You have a child to consider. Kat pushed her glasses up the bridge of her nose. Every man has to pass both the good husband and the good father test. I noticed the woman with the peekaboo pink panties was returning. Her skin looked fried to a dark shade of tanning bed brown. She appeared to be in her 60s, dressed as she was 20. I shook my head and picked up my fork. Kids, that's another topic. At my age, I'm not sure I want to raise someone else's children. I jabbed a bite of chicken, stuffed it into my mouth, and chewed. I was getting full, but that smattering of food on my plate called to me. My parents indoctrinated me into the Clean Plate Club at an early age. Then the nuns at school guilted all the kids into eating everybody's food by telling us about the starving children in China. Gina nodded. Kids are an important issue. Even grown kids can be an issue. Some of the guys I dated were still paying for their kids' rehab. Even worse, they moved back home with grandkids in tow. We all stopped and looked at the older couple at the next table who were smiling at a toddler seated in a high chair. Some of the folks in my neighborhood are raising grandchildren because the parents lost custody. Letitia sliced her carrots into bite-sized portions, with neat precision. Ladies, you've given me a good deal to consider, but I need a quick pit stop. I started to rise. Kat looked up at me and pointed to my seat. You can't leave yet. We haven't talked about where you can get free condoms. Good grief. I can't handle another condom conversation with a cranky bladder threatening rebellion. Later. I've got to go. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave comments, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Please share. And I hope you have a great day. Stay well and stay safe.